Let me tell you something. Mental health is a serious topic, and tonight we're gonna laugh about it. Because laughter, they say, is the best medicine. Although, I've always wondered, who are they? And are they licensed? You know, growing up, nobody talked about mental health. If you were crazy, they just said, there goes crazy Larry eating a shoe again. Now we have terms like bipolar, ADHD, and anxiety. Back then, we just called it crazy. Anybody got any crazy family members? Y'all ever notice how everybody has that one family member who's just different? Like, they see the world through a different pair of glasses, and those glasses are prescription crazy? That's my Uncle Ray. This man talks to himself more than Siri. We thought he was just eccentric. Turns out, he was having full conversations with his imaginary friend, Tony. Uncle Ray would be like, "Hey, Tony, pass me the salt." And there'd be nobody there. But guess what? Tony always remembered the salt. Maybe he was just hungry. Or maybe he just knew Tony wasn't gonna let him down. But now, I know Uncle Ray was just coping. Because mental health is all about how you cope. Some people meditate, some people do yoga, some people smoke weed. And don't judge, because weed has done more for mental health than any therapy session I've ever had. I went to therapy once. The therapist said, "Mark, tell me about your childhood." I said, "Lady, if I wanted to relive my childhood, I'd just go home for Thanksgiving." I mean, therapists are like paid friends who can't keep secrets. You tell them your deepest, darkest thoughts, and they just nod and write it down. Like, tell me more about what truly makes you feel crazy. No thanks, I'll stick to talking to Tony. At least Tony doesn't charge by the hour. But seriously, though, laughter is powerful. It's a way to deal with the chaos of life. Sometimes, you just gotta laugh at the absurdity of it all. Like, I once saw a man arguing with a squirrel. And I thought, man, what medication is this motherfucker on? The squirrel stood up on its toes and kept pointing his finger at him like it understood him too. Mental health is like physical health. You gotta take care of it. You go to the gym for your body, but what about your mind? You gotta exercise that too. And sometimes that means talking to someone. Sometimes it means meditating. And sometimes it means telling Tony to pass the salt. But you know what's crazy? The stigma around mental health. People still whisper about it like it's a dirty secret. Like, "Oh, did you hear? Robert's been seeing a therapist." As if Robert just admitted to being a serial killer. We need to change that. We need to normalize it. Because everyone has something. If you don't think you do, that's your something. I've been on this earth long enough to know that nobody's got it all figured out. We're all just trying to make it through the day without talking to squirrels. And if you do talk to squirrels, I ain't judging. Maybe the squirrel had some good advice. In the end, it's all about balance. You gotta find what works for you. For me, it's comedy. Making people laugh is my therapy. It's cheaper, and I don't have to lay on a couch. Unless it's my couch, and I'm watching sports, and then Tony comes over and we have a good laugh. Because sometimes, that's all you need, a good laugh with a good friend, even if that friend is imaginary. So, take care of your mental health. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. Just find your Tony and pass the salt. Now, let's talk about drugs. Not in that after-school special way, but in a real way. Because drugs are a part of life. Whether you've done them, thought about doing them, or just watched your friends do them and said, "Nah, I'm good." We all got stories. You know, growing up in the 80s, they had those Just Say No campaigns. Remember those? Nancy Reagan was on TV, looking all stern, like, "Just say no." And I was like, "Just say no?" Lady, you ever been to a party? Because at a party, saying no is like playing dodgeball with your social life. You're like, "No thanks, I don't want any," and suddenly you're the weirdo in the corner, nursing a warm soda, while everyone else is having the time of their lives. Peer pressure is real, folks. I remember the first time I was offered weed. I was 13, hanging out with some older kids. They passed me a joint, and I was like, no thanks, I gotta go do some homework. And they just laughed. One of them said, homework? Man, you're gonna need this just to get through math class. And you know what? He was right. Math is hard. But here's the thing, I tried weed, and it wasn't like the movies. There were no psychedelic colors, no talking animals. Just a lot of giggling and an insatiable craving for Cheetos. And then I got paranoid. I thought, what if someone finds out? What if they can smell it on me? So I took a shower, used up all the soap, then sprayed myself with half a can of Axe body spray. I walked out smelling like a potpourri explosion. My parents looked at me and said, boy, what have you been doing? And I said, math. Just doing some math. But let's get real. Drugs can be fun, but they can also mess you up. We've all seen those people who took it too far. You ever see someone on meth? It's like watching a live-action episode of The Walking Dead. Their teeth are missing, their skin looks like it's melting, and they have the energy of 10 caffeinated squirrels. It's terrifying. I had a friend, we'll call him Tim, who got into meth. Tim was the life of the party, always had a joke, always smiling. But then meth took over. He started showing up at parties with conspiracy theories instead of jokes. Hey Mark, you know the government's putting microchips in our cereal? And I'm like, Tim, I'm just trying to enjoy my Fruit Loops, man. Addiction is a beast. It sneaks up on you. One day you're having a good time, and the next, you're selling your TV for a hit. And let me tell you, selling a TV is hard work. You gotta find a buyer, negotiate a price, and then you're left with this empty spot on your wall, like a monument to your bad decisions. But you know what's even crazier? Prescription drugs. The stuff your doctor gives you. Those things are supposed to help, right? But the side effects sound like a nightmare. You ever see those commercials? Take this pill for your arthritis. Side effects may include nausea, dizziness, dry mouth, and spontaneous combustion. I'm like, wait, what was that last one? I had this back pain once, and the doctor gave me some painkillers. And at first, it was great. The pain was gone. I was feeling good. But then I started feeling too good. I was like, I don't need this painkiller, but it sure makes Jeopardy more fun. Next thing you know, I'm watching Alex Trebek like he's a space comet. And don't even get me started on opioids. That stuff is no joke. They say it's for pain relief, but it's like playing Russian roulette with your life. 1 minute, you're pain-free. The next, you're sleeping in a gutter, wondering where it all went wrong. I had a cousin who got hooked on opioids. This man was the most responsible guy I knew. Had a good job, a family. Then he hurt his back, got some pills, and next thing you know, he's stealing car radios to feed his habit. It was like watching a Lifetime movie, but without the happy ending. But you know what's the worst? Alcohol. Because alcohol is everywhere. It's legal, it's social, and it's deadly. You go to a party, there's alcohol. You go to a wedding, there's alcohol. You go to a funeral, there's alcohol. It's like, hey, sorry for your loss. Want a drink? And people act like it's no big deal. Oh, I just have a couple of drinks to relax. Yeah, and then a couple more to really relax. Next thing you know, you're passed out in your neighbor's yard, wearing a traffic cone as a hat. And Facebook. Facebook is like a reunion you can't escape. All these people from your past popping up, wanting to be your friend. People you haven't seen since high school, suddenly wanting to know what you're up to. It's like, oh hey, Sally, we haven't spoken in 20 years, but sure, let's be Facebook friends. I can't wait to see pictures of your kids and read about your essential oils business. But the best part of Facebook? The oversharers. You know who I'm talking about. The ones who post every single detail of their lives. Just woke up, having coffee, thinking about life. Like, do we really need to know all that? And then they get mad when you don't like their post. Oh, so you didn't like my coffee post, Mark? What? You don't like coffee? No, Karen, I just don't care. And don't even get me started on those Facebook memories. You know, those posts from years ago that pop up to remind you of what a dumbass you were. On this day, 5 years ago, you posted a status about being single and ready to mingle. Thanks, Facebook. Really needed the trip down memory lane. Now, let's talk about Snapchat. Snapchat is like the playground for millennials and Gen Z. It's all about those filters. You ever see someone with that dog filter? It's cute for about 5 seconds, and then it's like, all right, you can stop sticking your tongue out now. And those snap streaks. People are obsessed with keeping their streaks alive. I had a friend who was on vacation, and she made her grandma take over her Snapchat to keep the streak going. Grandma didn't know what she was doing. She was snapping pictures of her knitting, like, is this how you do it? But here's the thing, social media isn't all bad. It's got its perks, like reconnecting with old friends, or keeping up with family, or sharing your comedy shows. But we gotta find a balance. We can't let it take over our lives. You ever have a friend who's all about social media? Every time something happens, they gotta post about it. Just got a new job. Hashtag feeling great. Just bought a new car. Hashtag living my best life. And then a week later, just got fired. Hashtag haters gonna hate. Like, maybe keep some stuff to yourself. And the influencers. The damn influencers. These people make a living taking pictures and telling you what to buy. Hey guys, just wanted to share my morning routine. First, I drink this detox tea, then I do yoga, then I meditate. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, first, I hit the snooze button 5 times, then I roll out of bed and pray I don't step on a Lego. But I gotta give them credit. Influencing is a skill. You gotta know how to market yourself, take the perfect selfie, and make everything look effortless. I tried it once. Took me an hour to get the right lighting for a picture of my breakfast. By the time I was done, my eggs were cold and I was angry. Not a good look. And let's not forget about TikTok. TikTok is like Vine's hyperactive cousin. You got kids doing dance challenges, lip syncing, and pulling pranks. And some of these kids are making bank. You ever see those TikTok houses? It's like a frat house, but instead of studying, they're just filming videos all day. I saw this one kid make $100,000 doing a dance challenge. I was like, I chose the wrong career. But you know what's funny? No matter how many followers you have, no matter how many likes you get, it's never enough. You always want more. You post a picture, and you're constantly checking your phone. Did I get any new likes? Any new comments? It's addictive. We're all just chasing that dopamine hit. And you ever get caught in the scroll hole? You know what I'm talking about. You sit down to check one thing, and next thing you know, it's 3 hours later, and you're watching a video of a hamster eating a tiny burrito. How did I get here? Where did my day go? But at the end of the day, social media is just a tool. It's how we use it that matters. It keeps us from talking to Tony. We gotta remember to live our lives outside the screen. Go outside, talk to people face to face, enjoy the moment without feeling the need to document every second of it. And parents, if you got kids, teach them the value of unplugging. Because I see these kids today, and they're glued to their devices. I was at a family gathering, and my nephew was sitting in the corner, staring at his iPad. I was like, hey, come play with your cousins. And he looked at me like I was crazy. But UNC, I'm in the middle of a Minecraft game. I was like, boy, if you don't put that iPad down and come play some real games. So let's take a step back from our screens. Enjoy life in real time. Because at the end of the day, those likes and followers don't really define us. It's the real connections we make, the real moments we share, that matters the most. Someone recently asked me where I got this broken-hearted clown idea from. So, let's dive into that. It's a story that's funny, sad, and downright ridiculous all at the same time. It's the tale of a broken-hearted clown. A clown with a broken heart. Because, let's face it, life is just one big circus, and sometimes the clowns get their hearts stomped on too. So picture this, a clown named Bobo. Bobo the clown, with his big red nose, oversized shoes, and that sad, painted-on smile. Bobo was the happiest clown in the circus. He made kids laugh, juggle like a pro, and twist balloons into animals you didn't even know existed. But behind that painted-on smile, Bobo had a real heart, and that heart got broken by the love of his life, a trapeze artist named Lola. Lola was stunning. She could fly through the air with the greatest of ease, and Bobo? Bobo was smitten. Every time she performed, he'd watch from behind the curtain, his eyes wide with admiration, his heart doing somersaults just like she did. He'd think to himself, one day, I'm gonna tell her how I feel. But Bobo was a clown. And you know what they say about clowns, they hide their tears behind laughter. So, instead of confessing his love, Bobo did what clowns do best. He clowned around. He'd tie his shoelaces together, trip over his own feet, and honk that big red nose, all in an attempt to get Lola's attention. One day, he finally mustered up the courage. He approached Lola with a bouquet of balloon flowers, his heart pounding in his chest. Lola, he stammered, I've got something to tell you. Lola looked at him with those big, beautiful eyes and said, yes, Bobo. And just as Bobo was about to spill his heart out, the tiger trainer walked by. He had a tiger that Lola thought was so cute. Let's call him Bruno. Bruno shoved the tiger in Lola's face and said, hey Lola, want to grab a tiger striped milkshake after the show? Lola giggled and said, sure, Bruno. I'd love to. And just like that, Bobo's heart sank. He watched them walk away, hand in hand, and felt his heart shatter into a million tiny clown tears. But Bobo didn't give up. Oh no! Clowns are resilient. He decided he needed a grand gesture. Something that would make Lola see him in a different light. So he came up with a plan, a big, dramatic, clowntastic performance. He was gonna ride a unicycle on a tightrope, juggle flaming torches, and finish with a backflip into a pool of confetti that would land all over the tiger. It was foolproof. Or so he thought. The night of the big performance arrived. The circus tent was packed. The lights were bright, the music was blaring, and there was Bobo ready to make his move. He climbed up to the tightrope, his unicycle in hand, and started pedaling. The crowd gasped as he wobbled, but kept his balance. Then came the flaming torches. He started juggling, his eyes locked on Lola, who was watching from the sidelines. For a moment, everything was perfect. The crowd was cheering, Lola was smiling, and Bobo felt like the king of the circus. But then, disaster struck. One of the flaming torches slipped from his grasp, setting his clown pants on fire. Bobo panicked, lost his balance, and fell off the tightrope, landing with a thud in the pool of confetti. The crowd was silent for a moment, and then they burst into laughter. Not the kind of laughter Bobo wanted. This was the kind of laughter that cuts deep, that makes you feel small. Bobo crawled out of the pool, his heart as broken as his pride. He looked over at Lola, hoping for some sign of sympathy, but she was too busy laughing with Bruno and his tiger. That was the final blow. Bobo knew he had to move on. So, Bobo did what any broken-hearted clown would do. He packed his bags, left the circus, and went on a journey of self-discovery. He traveled the world, performing in small towns, big cities, and everywhere in between. He learned new tricks, met new people, and slowly but surely, he started to heal. One day, while performing in a tiny village in Italy, Bobo met another clown named Bella. Bella was different. She was funny, kind, and had a heart as big as her smile. She saw past Bobo's painted-on tears and fell in love with the clown beneath. Bobo, for the first time in a long time, felt genuinely happy. But here's the kicker. One day, while Bobo and Bella were performing, guess who showed up? That's right, Lola, Bruno, and the tiger. Turns out, they had joined a traveling circus and happened to be in the same town. Bobo saw them in the audience and felt a pang of his old heartache, but this time, it was different. He realized he was no longer that sad clown pining for someone who didn't see him. After the show, Lola approached Bobo. "Bobo," she said, "I saw your performance. It was incredible. I've missed you." Bobo smiled, a real smile, and said, "Thanks, Lola. But I'm not the same clown you used to know." Lola looked confused. "What do you mean?" And just then, Bella walked up, took Bobo's hand, and said, "Hey, love, ready for our next act?" Bobo looked at Bella, his heart full of joy, and said, "Absolutely." Lola watched them walk away, hand in hand, and for the first time, Bobo felt a sense of closure. He realized that sometimes, the best way to mend a broken heart is to find someone who loves you just the way you are, clown shoes and all. So, here's to Bobo, the broken-hearted clown who found his way. Because in the end, life's a circus, and sometimes the clowns get the last laugh.